You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
The Big Guy Sports 30 and 30 Sports Flash.
Big Guy Sports Radio Network here on Monday, June 29th, 2020. We are here for another edition of Primetime Sports in New York, live on Facebook and streaming on the app. How are you today, Mac?
I'm doing pretty good there, Jim. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the controls over there right now, but we have the 30-30 we're doing right now. That's excellent. I can't wait.
Oh, I hit the 30. Oh my God!
So I don't have my update ready, baby, but you know something? I'm going to be ready next time when you do that to me. You know what I'm saying?
Let me just say. Let me hold on. I gotta rewind it here.
I know you do. I know.
The other one, and then I'll explain. Hold on. Let me.
You're listening to the Big Guy Sports Radio Show. Your home for New York sports.
That's better.
Yes, sir. I thought it was April 1st, man. I got all nervous. I'm like, wow. No, but hey, it happened.
That's better. I want to say in my defense, just to the people so they understand. So it's been a rough day because my wife woke up really sick, and with the coronavirus thing going on, as well, Mac already knows, I've been a little stressed out today. So it's not out of the ordinary for me to have hit the wrong button. I'm just telling you because my mind has been really bad and worried today about everything. So
I thought it was a great thing to do to get me right, pull me right back into the show, get me paying attention. Because I'll tell you, Jim, last night till today, I've been on the computer all day. I'm old school. I hate the computer. We have to use the computers. I know it, and it's just driving me out of my mind. So I'm glad to get on the show right now and shoot some sports with you.
Well, let me tell you, if you didn't notice that, if you didn't say, "Hey, Jim, look what you just did," I've been so just beyond trying to handle the medical issues today.
I hear you.
I would not have even noticed. It did seem a little fast.
No, I knew that because you were sitting there like, okay, what just kind of happened? How are we doing? And I said, all right. So I brought it to your attention, not to scold you, I just think
okay. I don't mind. I mean,
I thought it was a great thing to do.
I mean, it could be worse. I mean, we could work for ESPN, and I could have ran a Fox Sports intro. I mean,
do we have those?
No, I don't have them. I'm afraid to put any video of any network that doesn't involve us just because of the fact that, the last time I put that little ad on Facebook of, There's No Crying in Baseball by Tom Hanks, they shut us down for 2 minutes.
Facebook police were on patrol that day, man. They were all over you.
Be surprised what they care about and they don't care about, right?
Holy cow.
They're rough some days, man.
I'll tell you, man.
Well, we're here. So you have
I could see him coming with the little Facebook police hats, breaking in your door, putting some of them plastic handcuffs on you, and playing.
That's not even the funny part about it. Is the Facebook police not the funniest part about the whole Facebook police situation is that I appealed, because I was trying to get us right back on the air, and they released us while they went and did their investigation. Then they sent me an email 3 days later. I don't even think I told you this yet. No. And it says to the email, we have concluded our investigation, and we have reinstated your videos, and we will let you know how much money is owed to you for royalties. And I'm like, wow, what? I get royalties off a League of Their Own? That all I got to do is I'll share videos of movies all day long.
Listen, you didn't know. Well, hey, you purchased that site, didn't you? I mean, you bought that with what 50 cents or something? Didn't you purchase that site? I don't know.
Well, not the one that was just taking those videos off of YouTube.
All right.
I mean, I didn't purchase. There was no purchase for that stuff. So I mean, hey, who am I?
I don't know, man. It was crazy. It was funny. But anyway,
so you're doing good. So everybody's doing good. So we're here and we're live, and we got to get into today. We're going to be covering a few things. We're going to talk about some Yankees. We got a lot of Yankee news. I know that both teams yesterday introduced, both local teams, the Mets and the Yankees, put out their 60-man roster, but we'll do the Mets tomorrow. So we're gonna talk about some Yankee news today. Johnny Damon, little nutty today. The Yankees roster, potential opening day matchup. It looks like, with them and the Nationals. We'll get into Cam Newton. Went to the Patriots. That's big news everywhere. And talk a little bit about Kevin Durant and the Nets, and a little bit about the Knicks. So we got plenty of stuff to cover today, so we get right into it. Let's start with the Yankees. And I just want to point out to the crowd, to the audience, if you're listening in, if you want to make any comments or questions, you have to come even if it's streaming on another site, you have to come like the Big Guy Sports page and comment through there, because the Facebook system only lets us see comments from our page to where we can answer them through the software and bring them up on the air. So if you're making comments on Worldwide Sports page, or you're making comments on one of the Yankee group pages or somewhere, we won't see it. And it's not that we're ignoring you. It's just we can't see it. So you can either do it on there, or you can like me on Facebook, because I stream it on my page public also, and I could see the comments there as well, for Jim LeBruno. So anyway, getting into the Yankees. So our first start of the day, I guess we'll start with Johnny Damon. Now, anybody who follows Johnny Damon knows it's a little weird. Okay, so this is what Johnny Damon had to say. You ready? All right, so Johnny Damon said, "I never wanted to leave the Yankees after winning the World Series in 2009. But he and World Series MVP Matsui were goners after not getting the money they wanted. And in Damon's eyes, that's why the Yankees couldn't win another championship in the years following number 27. He said, I knew why they couldn't get it done. I wasn't there." Then he tried to, he threw Matsui, wasn't there either. But, at least one of us should have been there. So, I'm not a genius. But, Mac, it sounds like basically Johnny Damon says that if he would have been there, the Yankees would have won another title. What do you think about that?
Well, Johnny Damon, when he was with the Red Sox, he killed us. He really did. He looked like a mountain man with a big beard and the mustache, and he was part of that crew with the Red Sox that went out and had partied all the time. They had a great time. He had great speed, a little bit of pop in his bat, batted around 3-something, and a lot of speed. I mean, he could cover the outfield. He was great on the base pass. And when he came to the Yankees, he's a little bit older. He had to shave his face, so I see why he had that beard, because he had such a baby face. I mean, he looked like he was about 12 years old. Mm-hmm. But he played a good center field for us. He lost some speed. He didn't have the strongest arm. I think I could out-throw him at this age. I think I could throw it farther and harder than he could. He was more or less just kind of throw it back into the infield like a Mickey Rivers kind of arm. But he still could cover the field, and he did a great job for us when we went on that World Series march. Him and Matsui both. But I don't know if that's the reason that we didn't go to the World Series again. I think in that trade, Jim, we got Nick Johnson. I can't remember the right-hander off the top of my head.
Well, according to him, he's saying that they signed Nick Johnson, but he's saying something about, he said that his agent wound up, they got an offer on a contract. And his agent told him, well, Johnny wants to think about it for a day or two, mull it over. And I don't know if this is even true. I'm just telling you what he said. He said, well, you have 5 minutes, the Yankees told him. Yeah, I find that a little hard to believe. It's hard to believe the Yankees would tell anyone in any offer that involves millions of dollars that you have 5 minutes to decide. There's not even enough time to hang up the phone and talk to your agent.
Yeah, that's a little out there. I mean, that's guaranteed that's an exaggeration. I mean, he said something about that he would have took like 30% less than the offer, something crazy like that he was willing to take some kind of cut, but not as much, I guess, as they were wanting him to take a cut. So, I mean, even when Matsui left, he really didn't do too much when he left.
Well, no, he was getting up there. They loved him.
Yeah, definitely.
There was no doubt about it. If Yankee fans, if you want to call in, you have a comment about Johnny Damon, either post it on Facebook or you can call in the phone line 732-716-2606. He says, Nick Johnson signed, and I'm like, yeah, he's got great on base, but I can score from anywhere, and I'm a leader.
Yeah. He was one heck of a base runner, that's for sure. He could steal a base for you still, and really ran the bases well. And Nick Johnson wasn't the most nimblest of runners back then, but he did have a good bat. He batted over 3, and I think his on base percentage was way over 4. So he was a real good hitter. And this is just going off memory, Jim. I ain't looking this stuff up. This is how much I remember that. So I mean, Nick Johnson was a good ball player, but probably not as electric.
I agree with Justin on Facebook, though. The team was stacked already. I mean, life goes on. I mean, calm down. Every time I think of Johnny Damon, I even forget he spent time with the Yankees. Like, the only thing I remember about Johnny Damon is how big of a role he played when the Red Sox came back from the dip and eliminated the Yankees and finally won that World Series. Because if you remember in Game 7, I don't remember what inning. I thought it was early in the game. He didn't hit that grand slam that pretty much you knew then Game 7 was over already, or it was a 3-run shot. It was in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
It was, they early on, when the Yankees and Red Sox went to Game 7, after the Red Sox that came back for 3-0, they jumped out really fast.
I'm not sure if he hit that earlier or a little later. I even think not Mo Vaughn. I even think Big Papi went deep on him right away too, if I remember correctly. But again, there's nothing I'm looking back at. But I do seem to remember that Big Papi and Johnny Damon at home. But they just killed him in Game 7. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to some people today who do some podcasting here and there, and a couple people I know from Sirius I spoke to today, and even they said that in interviews with Damon, he's a little out there now. Like, if you really go look at him, he's a little out there these days. So
he was always out there, Jim. Him and that Red Sox crew they had there, and being a big Yankee fan, I mean, I knew every Red Sox player as well as I knew every Yankee player. And, man, they had a lot of fun back then, and they had a great time playing ball. They were a good team. And, yes. So
I like sometimes we get questions from people and the audience answers it for us. So Alex writes, quick question: when were the Yankees not stacked? And Justin responds, in the 80s.
That's true.
He answered it for it. We don't even have to do the answer.
That's true. There was a lot of times the Yankees were. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but there were quite periods where the Yankees were not so good at ball club. That's for sure.
I do have a little side note for you today. Aaron Judge arrived today by plane with with a couple other guys and his girlfriend. So he didn't dump her for dropping his name to the Cubs. So
hey, there you go. Can he swing a bat? That's all I care about. I don't care.
I mean, they say he might be ready, but I'm saying she survived the name drop.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that if I ever get pulled over. I know Judge. How? He's my friend.
I thought you were going to say you're his girlfriend. I was going to say that'd be a little weird, dude. Big guy.
No, just a friend. Just a friend. So with that being said, Johnny Damon, I don't know, man. I mean, say what you want to say about Johnny Damon. I mean, good player, but let's calm down. I don't think the one player would have made the difference. The little gap that they had without him winning the title.
I could pretty much agree with you there. That's for sure.
So anyway, as you know, yesterday was the deadline for teams to submit their rosters. Now, we'll get to the Mets tomorrow because I do have a lot to say about how the Mets submitted 38 players or 48, and then they're just signing everybody who's like 80 years old under the sun today, like Melky Cabrera and some other people, but we'll get back to they'll do that tomorrow. So the Yankees announced their roster. I think they went with 58 guys so that they could try to fill the other 2 spots somewhere else. They did fill one of them yesterday with an interesting signing is they signed a 29-year-old Matt Duffy to a minor league deal, which is basically the same thing as saying we put him on the 60-man roster.
Right.
Let's see. So going down the list, have you had a chance to look at this? The Yankees were a World Series contender, whether they were going with 25 guys, 26 guys, 30, but you like to take note of who's out there just because of the fact that they have to be on. It's a totally different thing now. Now you got to be on here in order to play. So I just want to go a little bit through everything and kind of break down area by area what's going to go on. I mean, you look at the outfield. They kept 9 outfielders. Esteban Florial, if anybody knows anything, but there was a time Esteban Florial was considered one of the Yankees' best prospects.
Yep.
He's not a top 5 prospect with them anymore. He's, struggled and had some up and downs, but he's another one of those guys that there was a time he was considered a 5-tool prospect, and who knows, maybe he recovers and taps into that, whatever. Clint Frazier, who I think, we've discussed on the show many times that Clint Frazier's probably had a make or break year for the Yankees. He needs to kind of show that he can't screw up in the media and that he can catch the ball in the outfield. Think about Clint Frazier.
I mean, that guy, I don't know if you remember Manny Ramirez for the Red Sox. Remember that time the ball hit him in the head? And someplace he would make it go up the wall, and some of the easiest catches in the world he would drop. And, you know, I hope if he can get his fielding together, Clint Frazier is going to be a heck of a ball player because he's got a little power. He's got a decent batting average. And I think, you know, with Judge being hurt a lot, Stanton being hurt a lot, I mean, he's got a shot to get some real playing time if he can develop like he's supposed to.
Well, you can do that kind of stuff when you hit like Manny Ramirez.
That's true. That's very true.
Well, if Clint Frazier hit like Manny Ramirez, I don't really care much. They don't think they'd really care much of anything he did.
That is very true.
So you've also got you got Brett Gardner, who even I love Brett Gardner. I mean, he hustles, he plays hard. He signed for this year. He's got an option for next year. Could be 2 years left. And you know, remember when we ran that poll? And I said, who should be the next Yankee captain? And I just asked between Judge and Torres. The amount of write-ins that I had for Gardner was crazy. So Gardner loved in Yankee.
It goes to show, too, Jim, that people still love hard-playing ball players, you know, not the big stars. When you're a fan of a team, you look at this guy and you say, man, this guy hustles all the time. He's a leader out there. He's a good ball player. He may not hit all the home runs. He may not bat 350, but this guy is always giving you everything you got, and that's what Brett Gardner is.
Absolutely. And then they got a couple guys that you hope do not play big roles, because if they are, then you know that people are getting hurt. In Zach Granite and Rosel Herrera, you know, if you're seeing those guys, then you have some injury issues going on. Aaron Hicks, who they say is back. He's healthy. Nice to have him back. You know, he's fresh off that new contract. Aaron Judge is the question mark. He's the question mark. Now, I think he'll be ready. I mean, he looks like he's ready. He looked happy. He was swinging. You know, he's been swinging off the tee. I mean, you know, can he tweak it again? Yeah, maybe he could play through it. I don't know. I think Aaron Judge's injuries are the least of your concern. Just hope he doesn't catch like a virus and have to sit out for 2 or 3 weeks. That's, you know.
Well, the only thing that would concern me about that, Jim, is like when you're batting off the tee, there's nobody throwing the ball at you. You know what I mean? You don't have to jump out of the way. You don't have to bend that. You're all set. So the big test is when he starts taking real batting practice and somebody's actually throwing the ball at him or towards him, to see when he goes down to take a swing at a bad pitch, breaking ball, or somebody's throwing him high inside, he's going to jump out of the way. That's when we'll really find out whether Judge is ready to go.
Well, even play in the field, too, because that's where one of his injuries came from, was the field. So how fast can he run after the ball? You know, can he dive? Can he make those leaps at the wall? That's what you're going to see. You got Stanton, who, you know, everywhere I go, Yankee fans want him gone, but he makes too much money. But he seems to be healthy. And then you got Mike Tauchman, who did a good job filling in when he needed to fill in. But, you know, in a perfect world, in a perfect Yankee world, and everybody's healthy and everybody's playing, your outfield should be Hicks, Gardner, Judge, with Stanton as the DH. This is a perfect world. So if everybody's healthy, you know, this is what they envision. And if you have those 3 guys in Stanton as the DH, you're going to, you know, we didn't even get to the infield yet. You're going to put up a lot of runs. I mean,
if they're all healthy, yeah, definitely, Jim. I agree 100%.
Perfect world. Let's see what some people are saying while we're talking about the outfield. So Alex says, I say Judge, but I can understand why the fans say it should be Gardner. Yeah, Gardner's loved, man. I mean, you put up all the home runs you want in the world. You can, you know, whatever you want to say, you could come in, be a high price signee like a Texera or a Giambi. But at the end of the day, truly, fans appreciate the guys that hustle.
Yeah.
Hustle, get dirty, don't care, down and out, spirit. And Gardner's just one of those guys.
I mean, you look just to jump back in history a little bit, you look at Bernie Williams. The fans loved Bernie Williams. He was clutch, power, had a little speed, decent base hitter, clutch hitter, and in an outfield he could chase down them balls. He was just a hustling guy and was very, I don't know how to, he wasn't braggadocious. He's kind of humble. And real fans on teams really love those kind of players.
Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't, and, you know, Justin mentions on Facebook, I think Gardner's the longest tenured Yankee and a good ball player, a perfect combination for a captain. If he wasn't on a 1-year deal with an option for another, which you don't know where that's going to go, I think he would probably have a good shot at it, but I don't see them naming one this year. No. You know, I think we did this on another segment on another show with both the Yankees and the Mets. They're not fast to just name a captain every year to have one.
No, it's supposed to be like an honor, I guess. You know, for
not like other sports where it's just
someone's
got to be it.
Right.
baseball or something. So that's your outfield. Strong, good backups. I mean, it's not a bad backup to have Tauchman, and I would just, you look at that list. Granted, Herrera are probably, long down the line. Florial's like in an emergency. So your main two backups, should you need them to be, are going to be Frazier and Tauchman, and those are not bad backups at all.
No, they can fill in and play for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, and like I said, it's a big year for Frazier this year, because next year they got to decide on Frazier when he becomes arbitration eligible if they want to get into bed with doing that kind of thing.
Very true.
In baseball, those arbitration eligible prices, they go up pretty fast.
Very true.
You move on to the infield, there's some question marks, but not a ton. I mean, Miguel Andujar's back. 1 year removed from having a great year and almost winning the Rookie of the Year. He's back. He's like a question mark to me, only because of the fact that if Hicks is healthy and Judge is healthy and Gardner's healthy and Stanton's healthy, one of those guys has to DH, which it's going to be Stanton because he's the worst fielder of the four. Andujar can't field. Even the Yankees themselves have said that. That's why they experimented with him at first base in the spring, and it didn't go well. So Andujar has the most time to lose here unless he really rakes. Because if he doesn't rake, then Urshela starts, he loses a lot of time because he's not DH the majority of the time if Stanton's there.
No doubt. I mean, like you said, even if he did start, I mean, they need to make defensive changes. They're going to pull him out from third base anyway. So, I mean, he may be limited even if he does start. So, like you say, he's really got to hit the ball really well this year, and hopefully he's improved a little bit at fielding. Man, I mean, they're professional baseball players. They gotta, they got to play the ball and do their drills right and everything. I guess some people just don't have it.
Well, I mean, he's going to be one of those guys that, if he wants to take over the everyday starting job at third base, when he's in there, he's got to be hitting all the time.
No doubt.
Because they would probably take a little bit less hitting from Urshela if he fields well. Because
I agree.
Urshela's got the glove. So you have Andujar. You just picked up Matt Duffy also, which that's why that's a little bit of a head scratcher for me, is because you have Urshela, you have Andujar, and now you picked up Matt Duffy, who plays third base. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher to me to get some. I guess they just want as much depth as possible. I guess just trying, looking at it and saying to themselves, well, this is a weird situation because we have to worry about if someone catches the virus or if something like this, something like that. Because on a normal year, I think if there's 162 games, you don't have to worry about a virus. They probably don't pick up Matt Duffy.
Or they sign him to and keep him down in the minor leagues if he's willing to do that, if they're to AAA or something, if he's willing to do that. I mean, we just talked about third base, like you said, Jim. We got a good fielder and we got a good hitter. And, if one of them gets hurt, we're going to need somebody to come up and take over one of those duties,
Yep. And then you got Theo Estrada. He's probably way down there in depth. You got Mike Ford, who has had some nice moments when he fills in. Kyle Holder, and not expecting much from him this year. LeMahieu, that's your everyday second baseman, no doubt about it. Big year for him. He's in a walk year.
I mean, he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid next year, one way or the other.
Gleyber Torres is now your starting shortstop. So he shifts over to shortstop, and that's another guy. You want to talk about Yankees are going to be paying him soon.
Yeah.
He's going to want to
Go ahead, Jim. You're right.
You just got, you want to have all-star talent at every position. You got to eventually pay them all. I mean, that's the way it is. Theo Urshela, we talked about at third base. And then, defense. Can be defensive. Give everyone a day off. He could play second base, whatever. Luke Voit looks to be the first baseman. And then you got Tyler Wade. So, again, it's pretty solid. I think, like I said, I think you got to feel really good about up the middle. Because you've got Torres and LeMahieu who can both rake and they can both field.
Yes, sir.
Question marks on the side. And I only say question marks because is Andujar the hitter who hit 2 years ago? Or did the injury affect him? That happens to a lot of ball players. Urshela played out of his mind last year after having 6, 7 years of never doing any of that. So was that the 1 year wonder? Or does he do that again? And Luke Voit, again, 2 years ago when he had that monster year, that was well out of what he normally does.
Right.
So You have a little bit of question marks at first and third, but I think that you could, so the depth of Matt Duffy, who can also go and play first base because he's not a butcher, I think that adds a lot of depth. It's pretty solid. And again, with all the hitting you have in the outfield and those two guys up the middle,
we should put up some runs.
It's okay to have one guy hit 260.
That's right. That's right. It's 100% right.
And then at catcher, I don't think it's, there's not much discussion there. You got Gary Sanchez is the starter. A lot of Yankee fans, from what I've seen, thought this is a make or break year for him because of the fact that now, because the Yankee fans have visions in their mind of JT Realmuto, who I don't think will ever reach the market. I think the Phillies are already talking to him. They understand what he is. And, a lot of people would like to get a shot at Realmuto.
Well, Sanchez, when not hurt, is one heck of an offensive powerhouse, really. That man can hit 40 home runs, drive in over 100 RBIs. His batting average isn't that bad. Defensively, a little susceptible. But, we had the same conversation back in the 90s when we had Posada and then you had Pudge out there. I mean, we might have got Pudge. We got Posada. What are you going to do? I'm just saying that I think Sanchez is going to be a good catcher for years to come.
In worst case, you can always carry a backup who, I think the leader for that spot right now is Kyle Higashioka. I'm sure I just butchered his name, but anyway, he's a little bit better defensively. And you think back to the days, you also had that time where you had Posada, the hitter, but then you had Joe Girardi, the defensive guy. So you can have the defensive guy come in late. You don't have the catcher doesn't have to hold the whole game down. So, and then they brought in Chris Iannetta, who I think is a long reach. He's older, doesn't really have much stick left, but you bring him in and see what he's got. They got Eric Kratz, another veteran. Max McDowell is in, and then you got old Met, Josh Toll. Hey, congratulations, Josh Tolle. So there you go. Josh Tolle has made the sixth spot on the catcher. So you're pretty solid. Sanchez is going to catch every day, and they like Higashioka or whatever. I'm never going to know his name, so I'm going to have to call me and tell me his name. But
well, I mean, if some pitchers have where they catch for certain pitchers, like one catcher will catch for one pitcher on the staff.
Greg Maddux had that forever with Eddie Perez. Perez always caught Greg Maddux, and Javi Lopez always got the day off.
Yeah. So I mean,
Lopez was the raker. He was
no doubt. But you do need that catcher to give the other catcher a rest every 4 games or something like that, just to keep him fresh.
Absolutely. Alex mentions on Facebook, I wonder if Torres is going to drive Gary Thorne and the Orioles crazy again. Probably. The Orioles are going to be really bad. And Justin says, Josh Tolle's still playing? Damn. Yeah, he is still playing. He's still got a little bit left in there. So on an offensive side, and maybe we will have time later today, who knows, to get the Mets in, but on an offensive side, you have to feel comfortable that, like every year, the Yankees are going to put up a lot of runs. They're going to hit a lot of home runs. The bats are not going to hurt them. I mean, even when they had all those injuries last year, let's just face it, if we're being honest, the Yankees play long ball. They don't really care about putting 6 hits together to get 2 runs.
Yeah,
they want to put 2 hits together to get 4 runs.
I mean, the only one different, Jim, may be Lemieux, right? I mean, he's a great base hitter. He's
always hit for average.
Yeah, always. But he's got power too. But he's trying to make contact. He's not trying to jack it out of ballpark every.
Well, that's what I was trying to tell people. Like, I saw so many. Like, you have different kind of baseball fans. You have some that, like, they watch all the games, and some that just kind of focus in on their team, don't pay attention to what else is going on. And I remember saying to everybody, last year, I was like, so many people were going nuts over LeMahieu, and, this guy's so great. And I was like, did you watch him in Colorado? He was great there, too. I mean, the guy was a 300 hitter. The only thing that increased when he got here was a little bit of power, but everybody's power increased last year because they admittedly did something different to the baseball.
Yeah, and you would wonder, in Colorado, them balls fly out of that park because of the altitude.
But they didn't have the baseball the way it was last year. But
very true.
He was always a good player, and he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. He almost won the MVP, and if he puts up another, MVP type number season, the Yankees are going to have to decide if he's worth 7 years, $200-something million, or if they're going to let him, because someone's going to give him that money.
No doubt.
It's going to be a big payday. So, if you're the Yankee fans and you want to get him on the cheap, you're in a tough spot. You better hope he hits like 265 with like 7 home runs. And you could bring him back on the cheap and he could put up big numbers again.
Yeah, that's going to be a big contract.
Got to pay him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the good thing is the Yankees are not afraid to spend money. So it is what it is.
Yeah, never have been.
No, never have been. So you got to feel comfortable. Even with all the injuries last year, they were still hitting a lot of home runs. Put it this way. Nobody's saying the hitting's the weak spot of the Yankees. The only question mark on the Yankees might be the starting pitching. And how it's gonna hold up.
I agree.
Aside from that, I mean, you're fine. So you get through that. So they kept a total of 25 position players. Now, I think this totals out. Yeah, they only kept 58 so that they could sign 2 more people. They didn't go all the way to 60, which is why tomorrow we can talk about how somehow the Mets only had 38 guys worthy of a spot. Yeah, that's how bad the 38. I mean, really? They didn't keep, by the way, they didn't keep Tebow, just saying.
No? You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. 100%.
Okay.
All right, so I told you they weren't going to keep Tebow. You said they were going to keep Tebow.
I just wanted them to do that just to
I
bother
would
you.
be upset. I would be upset. I would be upset. I would send letters to their media department. I'd have been pretty pissed off. Yeah.
And you know what Tebow would have done? He would have prayed for you, my friend. He would have prayed.
You can keep it. I don't care. No offense, but I don't want Tim Tebow anywhere near the roster. I mean, great guy. I mean, I would hang out with him if he wanted to, you know, have a catch, whatever, grab a beer if he even drinks beer. I don't know, you know, but whatever. I'm just saying, great guy, but not a major league ball player.
No, he's a great athlete too. Great athlete.
Great athlete.
Just can't play baseball. That's
and
all.
he'll always go down as one of those guys who put up some of the best numbers in college.
Yeah.
Great games. That doesn't make him a baseball player.
No.
Like if you put me in a corner and you said, Jim, you get Tim Tebow or Michael Jordan back when he was playing for the minor league White Sox, I'll take Jordan.
Oh, that's a close one.
Nah, I'll take Jordan.
I don't know. That's a close one.
Jordan's worth a lot more press anyway than Tebow. So get to the pitching. Now, the pitching was the question mark for the Yankees. You're not going to have Herman this year at all because there was a chance you could have him back when they were talking about 80 games.
Right.
Now he's gone for the season.
Right.
Not only does he, I think it's mentioned 62 games, if that's correct. Not only are they 60 games, but if you don't play in a regular season game, you can't be on the postseason roster. So Herman is gone.
Right.
You have no Severino till probably mid-season next year. Severino and Syndergaard both down until the middle of next year.
Very true.
So it's all how the starting rotation holds up, really. I mean, because there's no doubt about it. You got Cole, arguably one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball. But after that, you got to see how everyone holds up. I mean, Tanaka has not been the best regular season pitcher the last few years. And I know you could say, well, but he's money in the playoffs. But remember, you're only playing 60 games. So you can't have Tanaka be bad for 8 of his 11 starts and then think you're going to make the playoffs. You know, this is everything you're used to goes out the window when you only play 60 games.
You know, Jim, as we were saying, we've talked about this before. I mean, I know we're going to go through each pitcher, but man, the Yankees strategy for a long time since Girardi has, okay, we got a decent starter and we're going to load the bullpen with the greatest relief pitchers in the league. And Tanaka getting older, Paxton being average, all these pitchers coming up. Besides Cole, we do got an ace finally. And he's depending on that. They're still dependent on a bullpen. And maybe it will work this year because it's a shorter season. I don't know. But, man, I don't understand why we don't get a number 2 or a number 3 pitcher. I have no idea what they've been doing.
Well, I mean, you had him. I mean, you had Severino.
Right.
You know, not their fault he got hurt. And Herman looked like a number 3 last year. I mean, you know, not your fault he got suspended. So, so you got Tanaka, and then, of course, will Paxton be healthy? Now, the only thing you got to look, if you want to look at something positive for Paxton, is just so many times in baseball you see a guy put up huge numbers that are out of this world in his walk year. And this is Paxton's walk year. This is Tanaka's walk year.
Definitely.
And Paxton's walk year. So maybe both of them just have amazing seasons knowing they got a payday on the horizon.
But can you? What is an amazing season in 60 games, right? I mean,
I don't know. 8-2 with a 2.75 ERA is amazing to me.
I mean, what 6-4, 5-5? I mean, it's going to be hard for them to. I mean, especially the age of Tanaka and Paxton's up there a little bit too. If I remember correct, I mean, these aren't 25-year-old guys. These guys are getting up there in age and have a little bit of wear on their arms. It's going to take them a while to get loosened up and start throwing the ball a little bit. So, I mean, I'm very nervous about the starting pitcher, especially in the 60-game season this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got those are your top three. J.A. Happ is slated as the 4, another guy who I believe is in his last year, and the last one would be Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah,
who 2 years ago was solid. Last year dealt with a lot of injuries. And then they've got a lot of names. You're looking at guys they like, guys who are highly thought of arms. Albert Abreu, very high on the Yankees list. Domingo Acevedo, the big prospect everyone wants to see, Deivi Garcia.
Yep.
Yankees are very high on Deivi Garcia because Deivi Garcia was one of those names the Mets said, "Oh, we'll give you Wheeler for him." And then there were other teams that said, I'll give you a frontline starter last year at the trade deadline for Deivi Garcia. Teams are willing to give a frontline starter. He doesn't rank in the top 30 prospects in America, but he's still very high. He's still on the top 100.
Do you think that any of those will get a shot at starting?
I think you're going to see a lot of different guys for all teams starting this year for a few reasons, because of the fact that there's not a lot of days off. If you have suspended or canceled games or whatever, you're almost like one of your days off just went away when you didn't have many to begin with to start. Not to mention the fact, this season is so unpredictable. Like, first of all, you got to ask yourself, are players going to have a lot more nagging injuries because their routine for the year was messed up? Like, yeah, I get it. You're going to go to spring training for 3 weeks. You're going to work out, but you're not playing games against people. You're not, it's different time of the year, like you're used to being a certain way, your body, you know it as a ball player. Okay, in January, I start eating better after I just fattened up for Christmas. And then, in February, you're getting yourself into shape. And then in March, you're playing. And then in April, you're ready to go. It's all over. You could see nagging injuries, not to mention the fact the biggest injury of them all is if you test positive for the coronavirus. Because of the fact that the symptoms come, go, you're gone for minimum 2 weeks. Right. So I do think a lot of players that you're not used to seeing pitch, I believe, are going to pitch. So to answer your question, I think absolutely I can see Deivi Garcia getting a start this year, because I think Deivi Garcia will be one of the first men up when you need a starter.
So this could be a tremendous opportunity for young pitchers here. I mean, if they get that start and they pitch well, I mean, they may get another start right away after that, right in the rotation.
Not only that, Deivi Garcia gets up here and he gets a chance to make, say, 2, 3, 4 starts and looks good. It makes it a lot easier for in the offseason the Yanks to not sign Tanaka or not re-sign Paxton, because they know they have somebody who can just go in there. Let's look at some comments. So Tyrone says, I highly doubt you'll see long-term contracts this offseason. That's very possible. Justin mentions you can't rely on a pitcher to be good in just the postseason. You need him in the regular. Greg mentions we need another top-shelf starter. I'm hoping Tanaka has a great year. Happ and Paxton get late into games. Worried about Montgomery. A lot of Yankee fans feel that way, that they probably are an arm short. But you've got to remember, you still have the trade deadline till August 31st. So there will still be training. The only difference is that you're going to start the season and you only got 5 weeks to decide if you're going to make a trade.
Right.
Then the trade deadline's over. But I absolutely think Deivi Garcia is going to have an opportunity to come up here and start a few games and convince the Yankees that you don't need to throw 4 years, $80 million at Tanaka or Paxton, because I'm ready.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I really hope so, because, again, man, their strategy hasn't worked, especially when we get in the playoffs. So hopefully –
Go ahead. Okay.
Hopefully that we do find some young talent, because with the staff we got, I am worried about this, Jim. I really am.
Well, I mean, it's going to be weird for everybody this year. And then you have some other guys that the Yankees have, as Greg had mentioned, I was going to bring up too. You have some other guys who they can absolutely just swing in there, like Chad Green. The Yankees could put him in, like, sometimes now these guys, they like to bring someone in, let him go an inning or two, and then take him out. Chad Green's a good candidate for that. He's a good guy for that. Looking at this, you got Jonathan Holder, you got Tommy Kahnle. If you look into the bullpen, Loaiza, Tyler Lyons, Dan Ontario, Adam Ottavino, another Yankee starter who you could see this year, who the Yankees are very high on, Clark Schmidt.
Right.
Another good prospect. He could get some starts this year. You just don't know. They have they have the bullpen. I mean, Luis Cessa is still out there too.
True.
So you got, and you got your bullpen with Britton, and you got Chapman, and you got Cessa, and you got Kahnle and Ottavino. And the Yankees are they're in good shape. And if their starting pitching holds up, like many, prognosticators or the people in Las Vegas have said when they've set the lines, is that if these guys come through, there's no doubt the Yankees should end the regular season with the best record in American League. And go ahead.
Well, I mean, even last year they did bring Chad Green up, and he was like 4-1 as a starter. The thing that really hurts them with the philosophy they've been using, the strategy, is that we win a lot of games in a regular season. We got a 60-game season this year, and they use that bullpen. They use them up, and by the time we get up to where we're in the playoff or the World Series, and we're going up against their ace pitching staff, we're not going against their 5th, 6th starters or whatever anymore. Our runs aren't as big, and our bullpen is tired. So with that one good pitcher or maybe 2 decent pitchers, the bullpen doesn't matter anymore because they've been relieving every game. And I think the rules are going to help them a little bit this year too, where you can't keep changing pitchers back and forth all the time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be, a lot of managerial strategy that you don't normally see in such a long season. And not forget, we're going to learn a lot about the managers, especially like Boone and everybody, because with that new rule with the relief pitcher, you're going to learn a lot about how he's going to use his relievers, knowing that there are no, you ain't bringing a guy in to start an inning and taking him out after one batter.
Right.
I mean, that's not going to happen this year. And you're going to learn a lot about managers as they have to change their style and deal. And we're going to see a lot about Aaron Boone. And I'm curious to see how Aaron Boone does, because I know a lot of people say, oh, Aaron Boone's great. Aaron Boone's great. I get it. I'm not taking anything away from Aaron Boone, but anybody could have won. Joe Girardi would have won 100 games with those rosters.
Easy.
They're good rosters. They are what they are. And I've gone through a lot of the rosters and done a lot of research as teams started putting in those numbers yesterday and those players. And again, you kind of already knew who I knew back in March who the 25, 26 guys were. So you were just kind of trying to peek in and see what minor league talent was being brought up. The Yankees have the second best roster in the league. They're only behind the Dodgers. The Dodgers are stacked. I've never seen a roster like the Dodgers. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series, they should be severely disappointed because they're that good. But the Yankees have the second best roster in baseball and the best roster in the American League.
Well, they don't have the best pitching staff in the American League. They don't need it. Listen, in the playoffs, you do, Jim. That's what wins the
playoffs you do. But we could be having this conversation we're having right now the first week of September, and they made a trade for a top-line starter.
That's true.
They have the talent. They have the people to do it. You could move a Deivi Garcia or a Clark Schmidt or a Clint Frazier and pick up a top arm.
Do you miss the days, and I kind of do, when you had relievers that went 2-3 innings, the 2-3 full innings, like the Goose Gossages and the Sparky Lyles, and the great Atlanta relievers they had back then. Do you miss those days? Does it bother you that they have 6 different relievers that come in 2 innings?
It did, because it slows down the game when they bring in that many relievers in 2 innings, but that's gone now. Because of the fact that, you can't just bring a guy in anymore and just take him right out. So they're not going to have to deal with that a lot this year. I mean, this year you got a guy comes in, he's got to face either 3 batters or end an inning.
Right. So you still can have 3 pitchers come in 3 innings, 3 relievers to end the inning, right?
You can, but you're going to be burning through a lot. I mean, really fast. I mean, yeah, is it possible? Well, no, I mean, it depends when the guy comes in. I mean, if every inning you're bringing in a relief pitcher to get 1 out at the end of an inning to replace another relief pitcher to close out an inning, then that means your other relief pitchers are putting people on base. Because if they're doing 1, 2, 3 innings, that guy can't come in.
Well, let me give you an example then, okay? Suppose you have a right-handed reliever. He gets the first 2 outs. A left-handed batter comes up. You can bring in your left-handed reliever to get that guy out.
Has to face 3 batters or end an inning.
That's what I'm saying. So he gets 2 outs. So 1 more out, the inning is over. Is that what you're meaning?
No,
so then they can
finish that inning. The only way you could – what I'm saying is, let's say 2 left-handers come up. You got 2 right. You have Zach Britton on the mound, let's just say. 2 left-handed batters come up to start the inning. Zach Britton's starting the inning. He didn't pitch the last inning. He's starting, so he hasn't faced anybody. Right. He gets the 2 lefties out. For them to switch, the next guy coming up's a righty. He's got to face that righty. If the righty gets on, then he could come out because that's the 3rd batter. If the righty makes out, well, the inning's over anyway. They have to face 3 batters or end an inning, whichever comes first.
Right. Okay, so that's what. So there is still a possibility to see at least 2 relievers per inning, at least.
Absolutely, but that means that probably somebody else is letting people on base.
I miss Guskocic, man. I miss Guskocic.
Yeah, Guskocic back.
I want him back.
Some people just can't come back. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. Let's see what the people have to say. Alex says, Greg Owens, considering it's a 60-game season, you don't want to overwork your rotation. Greg says guys brought up to pitch are definitely going to be key. Alex mentions the key factor for all teams this year is that you don't want to overwork your rotation too much, especially considering that's very short rest. Justin says, I remember those days when pitchers pitched complete games almost all the time. Yeah, they didn't get Nancy at 98 pitches. Greg says, I wish starters and relievers went longer like the old days. And Alex says to Mac, I also feel like the managers in baseballs don't want to tax their bullpens too much because they don't want them getting hurt or overworking them.
But that's what they've been doing the last couple of years. They have been overworking relievers. And that's why when we get to the World Series or to the playoffs, we have tired reliever arms. So that's why Chapman gives up that home run. That's why Green comes in and gives up that double. That's why that happens, is because our relievers are so tired by the end of the year because they do overwork.
Well, listen, I can't find a scenario where the Yankees don't make the playoffs. I am betting the over 35.5 or whatever it is. I'm going to take it. I think they're good. As long as they don't have one of those normal swoons they have like in April. You notice how every April the Yankees start off like 6-7 games under 500, and then you see all the articles in the paper of how the coach needs to go or the manager needs to get fired, and then like 2 months later they're 20 games over and everyone's relaxed. They just can't afford to have a 7-8 game under July. As long as they don't do that, as long as they don't treat July like April, they'll be okay. Or August, I should say, like April.
Very true. Very true.
7 or 8 games under Houston, we have a problem. I'll tell you right now.
That's the truth.
That would be a problem. So, but hopefully as we go along, we start to get call-ins, because there's nothing more exciting than when, I just got to be honest with you, I'm not picking on the Yankee fans here, but they over-exaggerate everything that happens. Like they lose 2 games in a row. Oh, this guy's got to go. He's got to get fired. That's why I hope the people start using the phone line during baseball season so I can hear the rants. I listen to it all the time on the Fan. They can rant on our thing, and unlike Mike Francesa, we won't cut them off. If we
That's true.
As long as they keep it clean and don't curse, they can come rant. I won't cut them off.
That's hard to do, though.
That's when they say something he don't like, and they call up. He's like, "Oh, that's just stupid," and shuts and hangs up the phone.
Yep.
I won't do that. You call and be free here. Just can't curse.
That's all.
I'm still mad that I slipped and cursed 2 days ago. So anyway, that's the staff. That's what it's looking like. Very solid. They'll add 2 more guys. Don't know who it'll be, but as you can see, teams are going around and just picking up guys left, right, and center right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll talk tomorrow. The Mets are picking up every veteran under the sun right now. I don't even know how the Mets decided, let's just go with 38 and we'll sign 22.
You know, maybe that's a Mets problem. Maybe that's a clubhouse problem there.
No, that's a call to after the top 3 or 4 prospects in the minors, the rest suck. That's the kind of problem that is.
Yeah. That comes from the clubhouse, too. That comes from upper management, my friend.
Tyrone says he don't think he can ever call in. That's all right, Gary. Not everyone has to call in, but you can. We got the phone number. So, like I said, if anyone wants to call in and make a comment about the roster right now, 732-716-2606. I need to get like a phone number for the show that like it's just easy to remember, like 1-800-CARS for kids. You're not going to forget that. Like,
But we won't have any cards, Jim.
I know, but I just do like if it was just like if the phone number was the big guy or something.
Right. You would have to pay extra for that.
Not enough letters.
You have to pay extra for that, man.
I need like an 800 number, like 1-800-937-2222. Something no one will ever forget. It's easy. So that's what we need. See, Justin says he might call in during the season, probably during the Cam Newton thing. So to close out on the Yankees here, the Yankees are opening up the season and going into Washington to face the champions of baseball. And it's a pretty good matchup. I mean, if everyone stays healthy through the spring, Garrett Cole versus Max Scherzer. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that should be a whale of a ball game. We'll see how long they can go in their first game. That's going to be interesting. If we can make it tied, or maybe to the sixth inning, or we're one run ahead with our bullpen, I got some confidence there that we might be able to win that first game. But I'll be interested to see how long Scherzer or Cole can go the first game. Also matters what Scherzer you get, because last year there was a Scherzer that sometimes he looked like the ace and other times he looked like a hot mess. Yeah. So he is getting up there. I mean, Scherzer is getting up there, and he's about to be 36, 37 years old. So who knows how much he has left, Greg asked, what's the deal with the minor leagues? The minor league teams are not playing this year. There's no minor leagues. They scrapped it for the year. So no minor leagues. Basically, the Yankees have their guys up, and the other guys are at a designated spot of the Yankees' choice, which might be like wherever locally, Staten Island, if they still have Staten Island. I get confused with the minor league teams because they trade off like every 2 years now. Like, if they still, the other guys get to go and stay there, and then when they need them, they need them. And Alexander brings up a good point, which I was just about to bring up too, is about with the opening day series. 2 Nationals have already opted to not play. Joe Ross, who's one of their pitchers, who was going to be, if there was just a 26-man roster, Joe Ross was on it, and Ryan Zimmerman, who's been a staple in Washington forever, have both opted out because of concerns of COVID. Yeah.
The Nationals are already down 2 guys who would have been on their 26-man roster, even if this was a regular season, who will not be there.
Yeah, and that's like we were talking before the show. You might see a lot more of that coming up. I don't know how many players will do it, but there probably will be some players that opt out. I hope not too many, because I want to see some real good baseball, but we'll see what happens.
Well, we talked about before we came on the air, I mentioned to you Mike Leake of Arizona, who was one of their back-end starting pitchers, number 4 or 5 spot, walked away from $16 million in opt-out.
Yeah.
And this was his free agent year.
Right.
So I guess he wasn't getting the whole $16 million, but you get the idea. You prorated, he's still getting a nice chunk of change, $6 or $7 million, and in the free agent year. So not only that, now he's given up the opportunity to improve his contract for next year.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, unless he had a bad year or something. But something, Jim. I mean, these are very well paid players, because me or you couldn't do that. We couldn't stay home and not work. So I mean, they have it financially good enough where they can sit out a year or 60 games or whatever. And if they opt out, they don't get to come back after the roster's set. Am I right saying that?
No, if they're not on the 60-man, they're not.
That's it.
They can be, actually. You could come back if they release a player. Like, you want to bring in, Arizona has 60 guys. Mike Leake wants to come and play. They can bring him on, but they have to release someone else off the 60. The rule is that if he's not on the roster when they roll into September, he can't play in the playoffs, whether he came back or not.
So, I mean, this guy can take a month off from baseball and still come back before they start the playoffs. I think that's a bad rule. I think if you want to come and play, you got to play the year. I think that's a terrible rule.
Well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean Arizona would take him back. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was the 4th or 5th guy on the rotation. He wasn't a lock to guaranteed to be in the rotation. You look at Ryan Zimmerman or something, for example, who, even though he doesn't play every day, but he did play first base for them. He played, 80% of the time. You're looking at a guy who now, even if he came back 30 days later, did he already hurt the Nationals' chance in the playoffs? I mean,
yeah, but do you think that's fair to the other players that took the chance and went out there and played? I mean, I just don't like that.
I don't write the rules. I don't think it's fair. Maybe there is a rule against that. I don't know. I mean, that's something, we're piece by piece piecing this together every day. I mean, we're getting information every day. I mean, they haven't even officially announced who's playing who when yet. All we know is who they're playing. We don't know when. I'm hoping we open up at home against Miami. Hey, listen, I can get out that hot start. Hey, listen. Let you guys go to Washington. That's fine.
Crazy.
I don't want to go to Atlanta. I tell you that.
Well, they want you to come down.
What's that?
They want the Mets to come down to Atlanta.
Sure, Atlanta wants us to come.
That's
down.
right.
We ain't coming to Georgia. I'm boycotting trips to Georgia. So the Yankees opening up, though, I think that's a good call. I mean, anyone opening up in Washington. Now, I'm guessing they haven't officially announced this yet, but I'm guessing that'll be played a day before every other game starts because the opening game. That's a good opening game. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
You take the history of the Yankees against the champs, and it should be played in Washington, and I'm glad they're doing it that way.
Well, you think that. I think it should be played in Yankee Stadium.
Now, when you're the champs, you deserve the respect of having that first game at home. I mean, what they normally do, you would be kind of changing everything you always do just to appease the Yankees. To me, that would be a problem.
That should be a penalty for them players not playing right away. I mean, that should be another rule where that if you have a couple or more players that refuse to play, you don't have home field advantage.
Listen, if you would have won the title, they'd come to you.
That's very true.
That's all you had to do is win the World Series. I mean, you're almost there.
That's very true.
Chapman didn't lay a slider or a fastball in there. Tuve hit 900 feet. You'd be there. I mean,
because he's pitched as many innings as the starters, for God's sakes. Would you let the starters pitch some games, Yankees, please?
Let him
pitch 6 innings, for God's sakes. Would you do that? Thank you.
But Altuve probably knew it was coming.
Oh my God!
Beltran probably hit the can 4 times. I got it. He's like, I got to line it up.
Yeah, that's probably true.
They're still going at it in social media world. They're still going at it. I saw Altuve put on Twitter the other day. He put a post like, "Baseball's back, yes." And then there was Chapman retweeted on his page, "We haven't forgot."
Yeah, right.
The only problem is, here's the only problem you have. They have a specific rule against no fighting, and they have a specific rule against getting into arguments and stuff. Mm-hmm. If people hit the Astros and it turns into an incident, the pitcher could be gone for a while. So I don't know if I was Chapman, I would throw it. You don't want to lose Chapman for 7 days because they're going to impose, they said, stricter penalties for things because of the fact that they need to keep the social distancing.
Right. Well,
Chapman could throw at him in 2021.
What's really thrown at him? I mean, is it high and inside, or do you actually hit him? Or do you
hit him close to the head? I would think.
Right. But I mean, if you hit him in the leg and the ball slips out of your hand, that's not really on purpose. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, and I don't care about all the things leading up to this that what the Nationals did. So I think if he hits him in the leg,
I mean, listen, if I'm an Astro, I'm happy to get hit because I'm like, put guys on base and we'll just knock in home runs because the Astros team is stacked.
I know, but 100
Go ahead.
100-mile-an-hour fastball hitting you. I don't think he would want to do that.
No, but I'm saying the Astros can hit regardless of the cans. So if you want to put people on base, the Astros are probably going to be a playoff team. I mean, the Astros, say what you want. You could say, the cans helped them, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, fine. But don't think they're not talented either. Don't think Bregman and Altuve and Springer can't hit. And, they might have lost Cole, but you're looking at a rotation that's still got Greinke, still got Verlander, and they brought up high-prized prospect Forrest Whitley is going to take his spot. The Astros are still a playoff team.
Oh, they're definitely a solid team. There's no doubt about that. None at all.
I'm just saying. So if people want to hit them all day, go ahead and, hit them all you want, but just understand you're probably going to face them in the playoffs again. So Max says something about football. We're not doing football today, Alex, but we will get it. Justin says they will keep their anger in if they get drilled. Well, they'll have no choice because if they charge the mound. Cousin Joe from Florida, he was just in visiting a different part of Florida, which I'm going to bust him about later. Like how you live in Florida and go on vacation in Florida, but we'll talk about that later. He said he went to Steinbrenner Stadium. It was a great sight, but it was empty from the virus. But he did put some money down on the Yankees at the Hard Rock. See, my cousin's a Yankee fan, so don't think guys, I don't have Yankee fans in the family. You know?
Well, you got to have some people with reasonable minds in your family.
We got a few. Well, reasonable. You say he's a Yankee fan, but he also lives in Florida and went on vacation in Florida. So,
it's a big state. It's a big state, Jim.
You know, and maybe some hard slides, Greg. So I don't know. Are you allowed to slide into a player with 6 feet? You got to start.
I'm not sure how that even works. I don't even know how that works anymore. Whether you can run into the catcher, you can slide into. I have no. I pretty much think. I mean, you can like tag or I don't know what's going on.
Tyrone says he's got hit by a 95-mile-per-hour fastball in the back once, and he never been shot before, but he thinks it might feel the same.
Oh, it hurts. It definitely hurts.
I used to play a lot of baseball growing up, and I used to go. I told you, used to go to those Mets camps. My cousin used to go also, and he was a pitcher. I wasn't a pitcher. He threw really hard. I used to get in the box and be afraid to stand there because I thought he was going to hit me.
Yeah,
he threw really hard, so I used to always be backing out of the box. I think he left me once. I was like, victory at camp. Listen, I don't want to get it. I'm 15 years old. I ain't trying to get drilled by a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
One of my coaches on the teams used to tell us if it was 3-0 and we needed a runner at base, don't hesitate to lean into the pitch. And I used to hate that. So.
Yeah, dude, you got to take it for the team. For the team. So that's our Yankee stuff for today as we move on to other topics. But we will be back. The Mets we will break down tomorrow.
That'd be great.
And we could celebrate that Tim Tebow did not make the team. Thank you.
Listen, they got till how long do they got to add him to their roster?
Now they can't. Whatever spots you left open, I believe you can only fill by signing other players. I could be wrong. I can't. There's so many new rules, man. There's so many new rules.
I have a feeling that Tim Tebow is going to be on your team this season. I just have that feeling.
I don't think he is. I think that ship has sailed.
All right.
All right. So before we get to basketball, let's bring up this Cam Newton thing today because I was on Facebook arguing with quite a few people about Cam Newton today.
Okay.
So Cam Newton signs with the Patriots yesterday. Oddly enough, on the same day that the Patriots get penalized for some Spygate stuff.
They're always checking.
Yeah, they lost the third-round pick in the draft coming up.
Right.
So kind of funny that they signed Cam Newton the same day that news broke about that to kind of take the news off of them a little bit about the Spygate because no one's really talking about the Spygate penalty.
Well, it's in the news. It's just not as big. That's all.
No, but it would be huge if Cam Newton didn't sign. So anyway, they signed Cam Newton to I want to talk about several things with this signing. So first of all, they signed him to $1.1 million, I think it was guaranteed, but with incentives, it can go up to $7.5 million.
Right.
So first thing that happened is, and this is a little thing that bothers me right now, is it seems like everything that happens in this world, people try to turn into race related. So then you have a few NFL players come out and say, Sherman and Jamal Adams. I mean, of course, Jamal Adams will do anything he can right now to take a dig at the Jets. So what's the first thing Jamal Adams says after Cam Newton signs? Great job, Patriots. That's a good signing.
Yeah.
Jamal Adams is just trying to piss the Jets off to no end. So anyway, and then Sherman says, that's a terrible deal for a guy who's been an MVP. Granted, an MVP 5 years ago. But anyway, so Cam Newton signs with the Patriots, and then the internet blew up with, the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl now. The Patriots are the favorites. And I just I can't hear it. So I'm just going around and I'm antagonizing all of them. Everyone I saw posted, I said, are you crazy? Are you nuts? He ain't that great. Come on, slow down. Calm yourself. Anybody I could get into, I got into. I was basically trolling Facebook.
Sure.
Because, I mean, let's slow down for a minute here, first of all. Did everyone who watches the NFL fall asleep and forget that Lamar Jackson plays for Baltimore? They're in the AFC. He's like the quarterback in the AFC. I mean, and you got Pat Mahomes. I mean, people forget? I mean, who won the Super Bowl? They didn't win the Super Bowl last year with Brady. And Brady's twice the quarterback of Cam Newton. And this was my argument. I thought it was pretty solid. Who did the Patriots sign in the offseason that was such a big addition?
Cam Newton.
That's my point. If
Right.
Tom Brady couldn't win a Super Bowl with that bunch, what makes you think Cam Newton can?
No, I listen, Jim. I mean, I think it's a great signing for the Patriots. I mean, this might be the Jets' Vinny Testaverde all over again. If you remember the Jets, when they signed Vinny Testaverde and the Jets actually went to the championship against the Denver Broncos, he was also MVP. He was also a Heisman Trophy award winner, first-round draft pick. He also was a washed-up quarterback. You know what I mean? So I think that this was a very wise move by the Patriots. They kind of threw the whole AFC East into a tizzy right now, because I'll tell you right now, if Cam Newton is 90% the quarterback he was, if he's not injured, he might be the best quarterback in the AFC East right now. He's no Tom Brady for sure, but he's got a different skill set than Brady does too. With Carolina,
it doesn't guarantee that they're just a lock to win the division. You can't just throw Buffalo away and forget who they are. I'm saying the people in general just automatically, Cam Newton signed. Okay, Tyrone says the Jets fans are worried. Well, I would be worried anyway. I don't know how good the Jets were before he got there. So I didn't have the Jets winning the division. No offense to Justin or anybody else. Before Cam got there, I didn't think the Jets were winning the division. But I still, even with Cam Newton, who, by the way, they said he has to win the job. And I know some people are saying, they're just saying that. Believe me, the Patriots believe in Stidham. Maybe he won't start this year. Maybe they thought he needed one more year to learn. But there's a reason Cam Newton only got a 1-year deal, because Stidham is the future in New England, and he'll be able to run their system. But Buffalo is still the favorite to win that division.
Well, let me ask you a question then. If Cam Newton goes there and the Patriots go to the playoffs, run deep into the playoffs with Cam Newton, does Stidham still have the job next year? I don't think so.
I do.
So, I don't. I really don't. Because Newton is still only 31 years old.
I understand that, but you got to also look at the other side of things. If Newton goes out, you're talking about Newton going out and taking the team deep in the playoffs. Well, if Newton goes out and takes the Patriots deep in the playoffs, then I have to go into the assumption that he put up some spectacular numbers. If Newton goes out and puts up spectacular numbers, and then he's going to be a free agent, and they're not the type that they can franchise either, that they have to sign, he's going to want big-time quarterback money that they don't have to give Stidham, because he's already there. Maybe they don't sign him. Maybe they don't want to pay $25 million a year to Newton for 4 more years because he played himself into a big contract. Maybe they just take what they got and have Stidham.
Well, I mean, if you think about it for a minute, Jim, right? They got Newton at a bargain rate. I mean, the reason why Newton didn't get signed wasn't because of his injuries so much as it was he wanted to be a starting quarterback. He was going to go anywhere and play backup. I mean, he's going to go and play backup to some young quarterback or some quarterback that's decent out there. I mean, he wanted a starting job. That's why it wasn't that the Patriots didn't pay him enough. It was that Newton accepted this because he wanted to be a starting quarterback. And I think the Patriots, they have a dominating defense. They have the best special teams in the league by far. They have a solid offensive line.
They lost their coach.
Right. I understand that. But they have a solid offensive line. And I'm going to tell you right now that if their running game can get going a little bit, Cam Newton still can throw the ball short range. If he's not injured, he can still throw it long range. They're going to be a problem for the AFC East. Buffalo's quarterback is not accurate, and he's a leader.
I understand that, but see, like Tyrone is kind of hitting it on the head there. As I just mentioned, if Newton performs so well that they go deep, that doesn't mean Stidham lost his job, in my opinion, because that means that a lot of people are going to want his ability. Like Tyrone just mentioned, this is probably Big Ben's last year. He's been wanting to retire for years. He just didn't want to go out on an injury note. Why wouldn't the Steelers want to pay Cam Newton $25 million a year? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not a guarantee. It's not to mention the fact. Let's rewind for a second. Maybe Cam Newton puts up big numbers because he's got ability. Because, people were trying to say, oh, you're calling him a bum on Facebook. I never said he was a bum. I just said let's calm down when we're comparing him to Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, who are Hall of Famers. Which Cam Newton, if Cam Newton's career came to an end today, he's not a Hall of Famer.
No.
So let's calm down. What's to say that Cam Newton doesn't put up big numbers, but decides he doesn't want to be there because he doesn't like Belichick's style?
I agree.
Flamboyant, likes to go out and do weird things in front of the media. Bill Belichick's a shut up and play guy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
maybe did anyone ever think maybe what Cam wants? I mean, I know everyone's like, well, he signed with the Steelers. He signed with the Patriots. Cam Newton signed with the Patriots because that's the only offer he got
to start.
That doesn't mean that was Cam's first choice.
Oh, no, definitely not. I mean, but he does have an opportunity. I'm not saying that Stidham's going to lose his job for the future.
No, I'm saying it's not a lock that Cam Newton even wants to be back there, no matter how good his numbers are.
He may not come back anyway. It doesn't matter if he has good numbers, if they really think that their future is that young quarterback. All I'm saying is this is a great fix for the Patriots to make them competitive right away again. We were penciling them in to be like 7-9, 8, maybe make a wild card, probably not. Well, now this increases their chances to slide into playoffs. And once you get into playoffs with a coach like Belichick and you have a great defense and a great special teams, I mean, look at Brady with his first 2 Super Bowls. That wasn't Tom Brady that we know. That was a game manager who handed the ball off and they kicked field goals to win these games. This may be what this is for the Patriots this year.
Well, it's the same thing like if you ask me, now I understand the brilliance of Belichick. But if I'm an NFL quarterback, I want to have fun playing the game. I don't, to me, Belichick's a little uptight, a little stuffy, doesn't smile a lot. If you're asking me if I'm a free agent quarterback and you're telling me that I can either take $25 million a year from the Patriots or I could take $25 million a year from the Steelers and play for Mike Tomlin, I'm going to play for Mike Tomlin because he looks like he has more fun and he's a player's coach. And
yeah,
I think I'm telling you how I feel. That's what I'm.
I mean, that's what you hear from some players and you hear from the media. I've heard Bill Belichick as a fun-loving guy is what I heard. When it comes to football, you're there to play football. That's why he's won 6 Super Bowls.
I'm not taking away his skill. I'm just saying a lot of different things go into this. And I'll give you the quote because there's nothing better. The quote holds it all. This is what Belichick had to say. Belichick said, "We have no doubt that Jarrett Stidham is capable of being a starter in the NFL, and it could be the future of this team. But we're always looking to improve the team if we can for a short term at the right price." Right. He came out and said we were always interested in Cam Newton, but this is actually the team said this. We were always interested in Cam Newton, but we were waiting for the price to come down to something that we felt was a smart deal. So They only signed Cam Newton to start over Jarrett Stidham, who they've announced is a future starting quarterback who they can mold in this league because the price came down. If Cam Newton was sitting home right now and was on the price tag that he was on a month ago, where he wanted a minimum of $10 million guaranteed a year, he would never have suited up for the Patriots.
There's no doubt.
Trying to say that it had to do with the fact that they didn't believe in Stidham, you don't pay attention to football because that's not the case. They took him because they got him for $1.1 million. And they only need to pay him $7.5 if he hits incentives. So if Cam Newton, who's had a history of injuries the last few years, gets hurt this year and only plays half the games, he ain't never getting close to $7.5 million.
Well, I agree. I see what you're saying, but you lost me with they believe in Stidham. He's going to be our quarterback. That's who they have confidence
today.
Well, then why did they get Cam Newton?
Because they still want to teach him. Why throw him to the Wolves? The same reason why the Dolphins are going to start the season with Fitzpatrick instead of Tua.
Oh, that's totally different. Tua just came
throwing a few passes.
Tua just came off a major injury, Jim. He had his hip dislocated.
You can use that for any quarterback, though. You can use that for the guy the Chargers drafted. He's not going to start day one, but I'm just saying Stidham is almost
Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold. I mean, were they rookies when they started?
Yeah, but they made Daniel Jones wait 2 games.
Did they have a great offensive line? Did they have a great team? No, they don't. So I understand what you're saying, but to me that's a wrong reason. This is our quarterback. We have faith in him, but we're going to get Cam Newton. So you must not have faith in that quarterback. That's a lie.
I disagree because you're making it sound like they don't have any confidence in Stidham at all. All they're saying is that they want to give that Tyrone hit it. Cam's the best chance to win this year, but they want to give Stidham another year to get under his belt. Let's not forget Stidham barely threw any passes yet.
I understand it.
Maybe they want to groom him in. Why does everything have to be a rush? When Aaron Rodgers came into the league, he could have played right away.
We couldn't.
He sat 3 years.
Because he played behind Brett Favre, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
They also wanted him to learn. What is wrong with Stidham learning for another year?
There is nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is don't say this is your guy right now.
I didn't say it. They said it.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying general. Don't say this is your guy with the utmost and blah, blah, blah. Listen, you went and got Cam Newton because you don't think this guy can start this year. Just say that.
Yeah, but that's no indication that they don't feel that he's not their quarterback of the future.
Well, sure, and so is the third string of the quarterback of the future.
Hoyer is not the quarterback of the future.
All I'm saying, dude, all I'm saying is when you feel that quarterback is that good, if you feel this quarterback that's good, you're going to play him. The Patriots ain't a bum team. The Patriots aren't the Cincinnati Bengals, man. This is a solid football team. And if you don't have faith in that quarterback for this year and you're getting Cam Newton, well, then I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
So hold on. So what you're telling me is that if you're running an organization, okay, we're talking about Stidham.
Right.
We're talking about a 4th round draft pick. Not Daniel Jones, who got drafted number 6 overall.
Right.
You don't draft a number 6 overall quarterback and let him sit for 5 years. It's just not what you do. We're talking about Stidham, who was a 4th round quarterback who they liked. They liked enough to not try to re-sign Brady, knowing they had nobody else locked up at the moment. Okay? Because you can't say, let me finish. You can't say, they would have signed Cam Newton. Because if Cam Newton was getting $10 million from somebody this year, he's not a Patriot. So
no doubt.
Right. So you're telling me, because I just want to make sure I understand this. You're telling me that if you're running a team, right, and you look at Stidham and you're like, I like him. He's good. Cam is currently better. And the guy just falls on your lap for $1.1 million, you're going to say, nah, we'll stick with Stidham. Even though he's your future.
If you believe that.
It's almost like it's almost like the price came so low that anyone would have been dumb not to take him.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Jim, okay, I'll give you Kansas City Chiefs, for example. Right? They have Alex Smith, a very, very good quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. And at the end of the year, they slide Patrick Mahomes in. So that was a year. Stidham already had that year. He already played behind Brady a year. So they slide Patrick Mahomes in there. They think this is their quarterback. They're in love with this quarterback.
But you just compared Stidham to Patrick Mahomes.
I'm talking about the principle. I'm not talking about talent.
What about the principle?
Sure it is. I mean, sure it's the principle. I mean, if this is your thought, this is what you're saying, not you. This is what the team is saying. This is our future. This is the guy. Well, he's already backed up Brady for 1 year. He's already studied under Brady. He had one of the best quarterback coaches in the league. All right? He had that over at New England already. So if you believe that this guy is your guy, why are you going to get Cam Newton to come in? Because right now you believe he's not your guy. Don't say that if he's really not your guy. You still have doubts about this guy. There was no doubts about Patrick Mahomes. There was no doubts about
because there were all elite.
There was no doubts. There was no doubts about Jackson. There was no doubts about Stafford when he came up for the Lions. This was their guy. And Brady, when he was a 6th round pick for the Patriots, when I can't think of his name right now, when the quarterback got hurt. Bledsoe got hurt. The 6th rounder went in there, took over the game, and Bledsoe came back. He was fine. Guess what? They stuck with Brady.
Listen, we can talk about this till the cows come home. But I'm telling you, Stidham's going to have a good career. They believe he's their guy. And I don't think signing Newton says anything otherwise. I think it just says that what you're trying to do is you're trying to make the argument that all players develop at the same speed. And that's an invalid argument. Patrick Mahomes came out of college with all the tools already. Stidham might not be that guy. He might need 2 or 3 years to become what they need him to become. And again, I'm not saying it. The Patriots themselves have said, forget the Stidham line for a second. Forget the Stidham line. The Patriots also publicly announced today that Newton became too affordable to pass up.
Right, and isn't that a great? Isn't that a great statement too? Doesn't that make Cam Newton feel good about himself? I mean, if I was a quarterback,
they're about winning.
If I was a quarterback and say, "Hey, I'm cheap, so thank you for picking me," that to me now both statements are stupid. You know what I mean? But listen, all I'm saying, Jim, and I know it's not you saying. I'm saying that what the organization just said there makes no sense. Stidham has already been a backup quarterback. He's already been under one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, coached by one of the greatest coaches of all time, coached by one of the greatest quarterback coaches of all time. And now they say, well, he's our guy, but guess what?
Well,
Cam Newton is only costing us $10, so we're going to bring him in here. He'll be our starter.
That's pretty much what they said.
Oh my God.
I didn't say it.
Not
I
you.
don't work public relations for the Patriots.
Well, somebody's got to be.
All they said about Stidham, so you don't mess up what they're saying, is all they said about Stidham is that they truly believe he's capable of being an NFL level quarterback.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to say?
He will be their quarterback next year. And
What are
not
you
only
gonna say?
that, I'm going to go out on a limb right now because I want to put it on the air for all the Facebook haters. Okay.
All right.
By week 9, Cam Newton will no longer be the quarterback of the Patriots. And I don't know. Listen, I can't promise you that won't because of injury. I'm not telling you how it'll happen. He won't be. Write it down in your book.
All right. I doubt that's true, but I will write it down. And if you're right, I'll send you like a happy sticker or something.
I don't want a happy sticker. I want cash.
There's no cash. There's no cash. You can't get cash from what they call it, from a rock, blood from stone. How would I say it?
Jarrett Stidham is going to be a good quarterback.
We shall see. I don't believe it till I see it. I don't believe it.
Well, we don't need you to believe it. You're
Haskins was going to be
Giants fans. Okay.
Dwayne Haskins was supposed to be that greatest quarterback there ever was.
Dwayne Haskins, I said, was a bum from the beginning.
So
Everybody else said there. Someone said accused someone of being a bum. Dwayne Haskins is a bum. You all said he was going to be good. I never said Dwayne Haskins was going to be good.
Me either.
Ever.
So
Jerome says they're going to the playoffs, so we have him on the record. I'm saying the Patriots, if they're lucky, they'll be 9-7. I already told you who my playoff teams are. We don't go. We do this again when we get close to.
But it's changed. We now have the $10 Cam Newton in the mix now. So there's definitely a change in my standings right now.
Right, but my argument with the Facebook people wasn't that Cam Newton improved the team or not, or wasn't that Cam Newton wasn't good. It was a twofold argument. The first part being is that calm down. Cam Newton doesn't guarantee Super Bowl. That was my first argument. And my counter to that was, let's wake up a little bit. The Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Titans are all better teams. So let's wake up for a second. Okay. That's first of all. And Buffalo's no pushover. Now, I didn't go as far as to say Buffalo was the better team, but I said they're still my pick to win the East. And they still are. That was my first argument. My second argument was that anybody on Facebook comparing Cam Newton to Peyton Manning or Tom Brady is out of their damn mind.
No doubt. But there is an interesting thing that could happen here. Now, just say the Patriots make the playoffs. They get a home field advantage. For some reason, they get to the Super Bowl. It can happen. Anything can happen.
Saying that the Patriots, you're saying there's a possibility Patriots. Well, hold on. We'll have a better record than either, because to get home field throughout the playoffs, just
for the wild card.
Oh, for the wild card game. Okay, that's possible. They could
say they slide in. Say they get in there, and the Ravens and the Chiefs bump off. Something happens.
They're 1 and 2. The Ravens are the 1 and 2 seed. The Patriots are the 3, so they get a wild card game at home. Okay,
right. So suppose they end up sliding into the Super Bowl. Just say Belichick does an unbelievable job of coaching the special teams, block a field goal. Who knows?
Newton has an MVP season. Okay.
Right. I mean, they go crazy. Mm-hmm. Then over in the NFC, you got a guy named Tom Brady playing for the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. And let's say the stars align there, right, and everything, and they make a march to the championship game and they slide by and get in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
How interesting would that be? Finally, here you go. Belichick, Brady. Would that be an unbelievable Super Bowl?
Well, then I root for the Patriots.
Wow.
Brady's won enough. Cam hasn't won one, so I'll root for Cam to win the Super Bowl because we had this conversation before. When my team's not in the championship,
right,
I always root for the underdog. And technically, Cam would be the underdog in that matchup because he's never won the Super Bowl. So I would root for Cam.
But Belichick has won 6.
I know, but I'm rooting for the quarterback. I'm not.
All right.
I'm not rooting for the coach. How many rings does Tom Brady need? Cam can't have one. I mean, we can't share. I mean,
well, we're talking about the Giants. Belichick was a Giants coach for a long time, man. I still, I got emotional ties to Belichick.
I have absolutely no problem with Belichick. I have no problem with Brady. In fact, I have a little bit of love for them because as a Giant fan, whenever we play them for the title, so they don't bother me at all. They don't beat us when the game's on the line. They beat everybody else.
Right.
Fun fact, trivia fact: Bill Belichick and Tom Brady have never beaten the Giants in Super Bowl.
That's true. And do you know another interesting fact about that? Do you know the head coach of the Giants, which of course was Tom Coughlin? Do you know they coach under Bill Parcells on the same staff?
Yes.
So who better to know Bill Belichick than Tom Coughlin when he was coaching the offense and Belichick was coaching the defense? Something to think about.
Edward just hit it on the head. He said Cam's shoulder is shot. That's what I was trying to talk to people today. Cam looked bad throwing the ball last year. He was short and throwing it.
Oh, I agree.
It in the dirt. His shoulder did look shot. Now, God bless him. Hopefully he comes back this year and his arm looks great. But I don't know that. We haven't seen his workouts. I don't know what's on the tape. I don't know why teams were not going to sign him. But I don't buy into all that race crap about Cam Newton. I mean, Cam Newton never did anything to piss the owners off. You can't compare Cam Newton to Kaepernick. I mean, Kaepernick, everybody knows he pissed the owners off. Everybody knows that was all about race. But just because a quarterback wasn't getting a call or a job has nothing to do with it being about race. I mean, you would have to put that argument in to every African American quarterback in a sport where 75% of the players are African American. So that doesn't hold any water. I mean, I'll give you a good example because this is what came up. I'll give you a good example. Teddy Bridgewater played 5 or 6 games for Drew Brees, put up big numbers.
Yep, 5-0.
Teddy Bridgewater's African-American quarterback. He went and got a huge payday to go be a starter.
Yep.
He took Cam's job.
Yep.
They didn't push Cam out of town and give the job to Kyle Allen. If you want to talk about if you're bringing up race, that's how silly that argument it sounds. They gave it to Teddy Bridgewater.
Yep.
Not everything that happens on Facebook, not everything that happens in sports, not everything. This is the problem right now with everything going on, is it's getting overdone. Not everything is about race. Some things are just the better person is the better person.
And not only that, Jim, there is so much talk going about contracts and what a player wants and what a team wants besides that number that they're signed to. I mean, I would imagine that if Cam Newton wanted to go to another team, he doesn't want to go there as a backup. He's an MVP Super Bowl quarterback. He still thinks he's got it. He still thinks he can lead a team. And you're going to say, okay, go sit behind, go sit behind Rodgers, go sit behind Blitz. No, he's not going to do that. He's not going to sit behind Breeze. He's not going to sit behind Brady. He feels he's still that good. So the Patriots at this time were the only team that wanted a starting quarterback for this year.
One other team I could think of that he would have been a good fit for him. Because you also want to send him somewhere where you don't have to worry about him being on the bench and the quarterback in front of him being young. And if they're playing bad, he could take the job. So if I could think of another place would have been good for him, maybe Miami. Because I know Fitzpatrick I'm not blown away with. I could have easily been done with Fitzpatrick. And there wouldn't have been any pressure because Newton would have started while Tua worked his way in.
Right. And Jacksonville would be a good
Minshew?
Yeah, that would be good. I mean,
Cam Newton's better than Minshew for sure.
I think so. So I think that would have been a good landing spot. I don't know why Jacksonville didn't show any interest in him, and I think that would have been he would have gone in there and at least competed for the first quarterback spot. Maybe
you know why? Because nobody has more issues internally right now than Jacksonville.
Exactly,
absolute mess. So they don't know what.
So we don't even know if Jacksonville did offer him, and maybe Cam said, "If you want me to come, you gotta pay me $10 million a year." And to Cam Newton's credit, he's going on a team that's a legitimate playoff contender. He has a shot, a slim shot, but a shot to go and play the big game this year. There is a chance.
Yeah,
so that was
probably that counts, and he probably knows that. Probably behind the scenes, the Patriots said, listen, you come here, you're going to start. And they tell, but they're going to back Stidham publicly because they don't want Stidham. If you truly believe that he's going to be the guy in the future, you don't want to shoot his confidence down. Publicly saying, you're the backup. So it is what it is. And let's not forget, if Cam does everything people say he's going to do on Facebook now, if he's healthy and he plays the whole season, he'll make $7.5 million. I don't know how much money Richard Sherman wants him to make coming off the season and the injury he came off of. It's bad timing. He got hurt, bad timing. You know, you get hurt and then you get let go. What did you want from him? You wanted him to get Dak Prescott money? Are you out of your mind? I mean, he just was hurt. Now, if he just got released off his MVP season, I promise you he would have got paid like Dak Prescott.
Totally different story. Totally different.
But I mean, it's the time. It's just the bad times, you know? And let's not forget, and nobody might want to hear this, but Cam does a lot of weird stuff at his interviews and takes time, you know, and it draws away from football. They don't want that. They don't want that. They want you to go play football. They don't need the extra drama at the press conferences. And that's why I wonder how Cam will get along with Bill.
Oh, I don't think there'll be a problem. I don't think there'll be a problem at all. You got to remember, Bill Belichick with Bill Parcells, coach Lawrence Taylor. And if you think Lawrence Taylor was an easy guy to coach, this dude was a party animal. Women, drugs, the whole 9 yards. Great ball player, but off the field, he was a maniac. They had Randy Moss there for a while. They had Gordon there for a while. These players have always seemed to get in trouble, always seem to draw attention to themselves. Belichick knows how to handle these guys.
Absolutely. And if there's any guy that can do it, it's him. I mean, Moss went there, was fine. Gordon went there, you know, of course, he still wanted to smoke weed, but he didn't have any problems outside of that. So, you know, he was fine. So Cam Newton to the Patriots, big thing. It's going on everywhere. They moved up a little bit on the Vegas line as a chance to win the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens. I got in a lot of heated debates with people today, so it was good. It was good. Even with our resident hockey writer, Pat, me and him go back and forth all the time. I think he's just destined to, like, prove me wrong or something.
He just wants to argue, right?
he likes to argue.
Hey, before we push out of football, I got one thing I want to ask you about, right? The NFLPA, there is a lot of quarterbacks, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot. You got Tom Brady. We saw a tape of Cam Newton, and we saw Wilson down in Seattle. They're having group workouts in the high schools or colleges or whatever with 6-7 players. Mm-hmm. And because of the COVID virus and stuff, the actual Players Association has come out and said something to these guys. Mm-hmm. They have told them, hey, listen, you shouldn't be doing this. You know, we're trying to keep everybody safe. We're trying to make sure that players don't catch it, that we have a season, and that you're doing this. And the more important part about this, Jim, was that they were saying that if you're doing this and you want to file a grievance because of something that happens with the virus, it's going to be harder to file that grievance because you're out there practicing when you know the virus is around. Mm-hmm. So it's going to make the union weaker. Did you see anything about that?
I did see that. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to, like, it's easier for the union to be upset at, like, the fourth string quarterback of some team. It's really hard when it's Tom Brady, when you're talking about the GOAT, the GOATs. I don't know. I mean, it's like the equivalent of, it's like the equivalent of the NBA trying to tell Jordan what to do. And but he was, I don't know if you can do it. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, why? I mean, I understand you want to compete. I understand you want to be a little bit better. That's Brady. That's Wilson. And even, like I said, there was a tape of Newton throwing the ball with Beckham there. But why would you do that out in the open, first of all, for everybody to see it?
Well, I don't think it's in the open. I think anywhere Brady walks, paparazzi follow.
But they tape these things. Why are you taping yourself working out to begin with? Who cares? Go work out. I don't care.
Brady's like, I'm the GOAT. I don't care what the union.
I don't want to see you in your shorts and a muscle shirt working out with a chain throwing the football. I really don't care. I mean, you know what I'm saying? What is? Are you that into?
It's a currently weak sports news cycle. Everything's news right now.
Yeah, but are the players that into themselves, Jim, that they got to be on camera constantly? Go in your backyard and throw the ball.
He doesn't want to be bothered.
Oh, he loved it. He's loving it. He's loving the attention.
I don't know how I feel about it. I know I have like the opinion of no man should be bigger than the way it's supposed to be. So Brady probably shouldn't be doing that. But I don't think that, I think if there's one player in the sport of football that he's not going to win that argument against, it's Brady, unfortunately.
But what was interesting to me was the union coming out and saying something about that.
I'm sure Brady's at the point where, listen, I made a lot of money. I got a 2-year, $50 million deal from Tampa Bay. What do I give a crap what the union thinks? I'm leaving in 2 years anyway.
I don't know, man. It was very.
You get upset. You want to get upset about people want to sit around and get upset about what Cam Newton got signed. How about the best quarterback to ever play professional football got made less money than Dak Prescott? So let's calm down there. All right. Dak Prescott's made $7 million more a year than the best quarterback to ever play at the position. So why don't we slow our roll down a little bit? Why don't you complain about that, Richard Sherman? Why don't you go that Tom Brady's underpaid?
That's true.
Say that Tom Brady's underpaid. Best quarterback of all time, makes $7 million less than a Cowboy quarterback who can barely win a playoff game.
Not yet.
Beautiful. And if Dak would have got his 40, it would have been 15 million.
That's right.
That's the Dak Prescott.
Ain't that crazy?
Dak Prescott makes more money than Mahomes.
Yeah, right. Well, that's
Super Bowl.
That's gonna change.
What do you think about that?
That's gonna change fast.
Why don't we can Sherman talk about that? Like, what about Mahomes? We can talk about Mahomes, or just who cares about Mahomes, right? Who cares? Who cares? I mean, he wants to break down. Richard Sherman wants to break down what the quarterbacks are being paid, but only the ones he cares about. Like, you don't want to talk about Tom Brady.
You know, Richard Sherman has always been an outspoken person about anything, especially when it comes to himself. So that's the way he's always been.
Yeah, that's why I can't even pay attention to what Richard Sherman says. I can't even take it seriously. So we'll get to basketball, because I promise we can get to basketball. I got to be honest, and Greg, I can't repeat what he said because he used a word. But, Greg basically said Durant's not a good guy, and I'm going to agree with you. I'm just so tired of Kevin Durant, man. Kevin Durant is like, I don't like him at all. I have no respect for Kevin Durant. I wouldn't even let him inside. I'd let 20 other basketball players inside for him. I'm just so tired of him. Kevin Durant just comes to me, and he always has, as me. And it drives me nuts. Like, all right, you're hurt. You're recovering. You weren't going to play this year. You just gave me a speech a minute ago. You just told me a minute ago, why does Tom Brady need to go in front of the camera? I don't care about Tom Brady working out. So you should feel the same way about this. Does Kevin Durant really need to publicly come and say, if I was healthy, I still wouldn't play? Who cares?
That's somebody trying to be, relevant. That's not relevant right now.
Yeah,
right?
Me.
Yep. He's used to being the star, Jim. This guy's used to being the star. I mean, he went and he played on a championship team already.
I would have without him.
He couldn't do it with Oklahoma. Couldn't do it.
He's one of the best players in the league in Russell Westbrook.
There you go, and had a good, solid team too, and couldn't do it there. So he hitches his wagon up to the Warriors, and then he goes to the and there's a big argument between him and I'm trying to remember the four.
Draymond Green.
Thank you. Yeah, a big argument between them two, and then he goes to the Nets, and here he goes starting problems again. Not only is he injured and can't play, he's still got to get out there and say, well, if I was healthy, I wouldn't play.
Who cares? I'll throw you even one better. He couldn't win a title in Oklahoma when he had Westbrook and Harden.
Yeah.
How about that one?
That's unbelievable, ain't it?
I'm with Draymond Green on this. They didn't need you, Durant, in Golden State. You're a me player. When people try to put you in the class of the greats like Bird and Jordan and Magic and LeBron, you're not even close. No, I have no respect for Kevin Durant whatsoever. You're a waste of time being signed in New Jersey. You don't care about anyone but yourself. I don't care if he likes me, hates me, blasts me. I don't care. I don't have any respect for him. And I'm glad, just like Justin, as bad as the Knicks are, I'm okay with us not having.
Yeah, we don't need somebody like that. We've got enough problems. You know who we need? We need a player like Kawhi Leonard. Now that's a basketball player.
That's a player. Go on, Leonard. Just plays, man. Just play.
Tears you up on a basketball court.
Durant and Irving are perfect together.
Yeah.
Spend the majority of their seasons on the bench.
Yeah, hang out together. That's where they belong.
Club, Go play basketball together.
Yeah, man.
We don't care.
Chill
I
out.
can't do it, Robert. Not today. I'll give any player you want in the league a break, but I'm not giving Durant a break because there's no reason for him to even say that.
Because he wants to be relevant.
I wouldn't play anyway.
Wants to be relevant.
With Urel, you're hurt. What's it matter anyway? It's like Irvin saying sit out basketball when he's hurt.
Double duo. That's the double duo. That's Batman and Robin right there. That's that's
they
the Cape
both play
Crusader.
for the Nets. God
There you
bless
go.
the Nets.
Good luck, Brooklyn. Good luck.
The Nets.
Good luck, Brooklyn. And they have a good team too. And you have two futures that could be stars that are stars, really, basketball. But two of the worst representatives of the sport there, right there. I mean,
They kept what's his face and not even signed them. What's a
100%.
D'Angelo Russell they sent to?
Yes. And you know something?
Yeah,
LeBron, I used to not like LeBron James because of that Miami Cleveland thing and all that nonsense that happened, But LeBron is twice. I have twice the respect for him than I do them too.
Absolutely. LeBron is. Listen, there are times LeBron aggravates me, but LeBron at least he's respectful, and when he speaks, he tries to speak about other people. He's not like LeBron knows that he's big enough in the sport that he doesn't need to shine the light on himself. The people for him.
And he really wants to play basketball. The guy that's one of the best of greatest of all time. He's in the top, whatever you want to put him. He's up there. I don't know about top two, but he's there.
LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron. Yeah.
I think he's second. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is, and he still wants to play. He says his thing. He has his opinions, but that man loves to play basketball. These two, I don't know about. These two like the fame a little bit more than this.
Yeah, I don't. Neither one of them. And it takes a lot for me to say that about Kyrie Irving because he went to Duke, and I'm a Dookie. So for me, I can't even take him anymore. I don't even want to hear him. I can't even
Sure.
Durant's worse than Irving. I'll take Irving before Durant. I mean, Irving at least Irving gives you 15 games a year. I don't even know what Durant's doing. He's off, hanging out, and they got the coach fired, right? With like Robert said, when they're not even playing. How you get a coach fired who took a team without its two stars and had them on the way to the playoffs?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
I think the Knicks should pick up Kenny Atkinson. I'll take
that's not a bad pickup. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm not mad at LeBron that he left Cleveland. Listen, everybody's doing it. Everybody's sitting behind the scenes and putting together their monster teams. So when he left Cleveland. He went back. He got them the title. Yeah, with a team that probably no one else could have got the title with. So
very true. Very true. But I mean, what he did. When you lose a player like that, Jim, being a big fan of a team, that you get personally attached to players. You get personally attached to people, and that's too bad that basketball has become this. That you can go and make any team you want. It's too bad.
Well, for me, it doesn't bother me so much because of the fact that as a Met fan, and knowing that they usually don't spend money, I usually get used to the fact that at some point when I learn to love the player, he's leaving. So it's kind of grown on me,
Yeah.
And at this point, no one wants to come to the Knicks, so there's no one to get attached to.
That's very true.
I kind of grown to it. You get immune to it.
That's very true.
Not that bad. So so Kevin Durant as usual, yada 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 yada. I can't. I don't even know. I don't even I get mad just looking at him.
Yeah.
Like, stop talking, dude. Please.
Fooling around on the bench in the suit.
How much money did he get paid this year to just sit out?
I don't know, man.
A lot.
I don't know.
Not going to play. Nobody wants to see you play anyway. Just shut up. I said it. So now I got to ask about my Knicks. I don't even know. This is like a complicated question. How to turn the Knicks around. But I don't want to know. I don't want to hear people say Dolan because that's the obvious answer. And that's the one that's not going to happen. The team is not for sale. So I want to know how you fix the Knicks while Dolan's still the owner because he's not leaving. So what do you do? Because in March, the Knicks go out and they hire Leon Rose as the team president, right? One of the most powerful agents in the NBA. This is a common theme now in New York where we hire agents.
Right.
That's weird. So the Knicks have missed the playoffs 13 of the last 16 years, including 7 straight. All right. We're not doing Dolan, guys, because that's the guy people on Facebook saying Dolan's the easy answer. I need an answer. I need something that's going to work because Dolan's not going anywhere. So they talked to Rasheed Wallace, and Rasheed Wallace is very, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know Rasheed Wallace was such attached to the Knicks after playing such a short time here, but he's totally upset about it. So was Stephon Marbury, by the way. And I'm okay with Stephon Marbury. Stephon Marbury went over and had a great career in China or wherever he went. So anyway, he comes on. He says he's a little confused to have a former agent coming in and giving you their input, and then you hire him full-time to take on a lot. He doubled down on the philosophy this week when the Knicks hired William Wesley to serve as the executive vice president and senior basketball advisor because he has a relationship with a lot of NBA players. And then there are a lot of stuff is starting to come out that, I told you last week that the Knicks are interviewing Jason Kidd. And a lot of people are saying, the Knicks might want to hire Jason Kidd because then they'll get the guy from Milwaukee, who I always mess up his name, which is why I'm not pronouncing. But what if you hire a Kidd and that doesn't work?
Right. Well, Kidd is a good coach, right? I mean, Kidd is a good coach.
Right, but I don't care who your coach is. With the players on the team now, nobody's going to win with them.
Well, I got a scenario where
you do. You have a solution for me.
I have a scenario.
Dolan, go ahead.
I have a scenario. Okay. The first thing they got to do, I don't care if you go scout or whatever, you got to get a GM in there that can get good, not great, good, solid players, and maybe even a little overpay them a little bit. We're not talking about superstars. We're talking about good, solid players. Mm-hmm. And then you could have a coach there that can bring these good, solid players together. Mm-hmm. Because RJ Barrett, let's face it, is not a superstar. RJ, he is a good second, third player. He is not going to take over.
They wanted Zion or Jarrett. You know what I mean. But yes. They wanted Zion or the number 2 pick. It was those they wanted. Yeah.
But I'm just saying he is not that. He's no Zion. He's not even close to that. But he's a good, solid player. You need a good 10 solid, good players. Not even very good, just good. That you can get a coach in there that can make them work as a team together and get to 500. Once you get a system in there where other basketball players, superstars, can look at you and say, "Hey, this team's going to go to the playoffs," or they're right up there knocking on the door of the playoffs, and then the Knicks might be able to go and get themselves a superstar or somebody, at least somebody up in the top 10 basketball players in the league right now. But you got to start somewhere. You can't just draft people and hope they become this. You can't just secondhand pick things. You've got to have some kind of plan that you can have a good, at least 5, 6, 7-man roster that's going to get you, 90-something points a game, play good defense, and keep you in games so that you're at the end of the season, you're at least one of those teams that make the playoff. Even if it's 16, who cares? But you got to do that first before anybody's going to come play for the Knicks.
Well, to me, it's like you have to the Knicks are going to come up soon here in the next year or so, are going to have the ability again to be able to sign 2 max free agents. But because they didn't get any of the max free agents they wanted this past season. And to me, it's just like, I agree with, what was it Alex or Justin said, that you just need to, I think you got to find a way to get one in here. If you can get one guy in here, it'll attract other guys. You got to have one guy buy in, but not, to be honest with you, I saw a lot of rumors about this, about getting him via trade or whatever. Chris Paul's not that guy. Oh, no. I don't need 36-year-old Chris Paul. He's not going to. He's down. He's on the back. He's on the downside. I don't know if everybody wants Chris Paul.
Again, Jim, even if you get that one great player to come in, they're not going to come in to begin with if you've got a terrible team. If you don't have a good coach, if you don't have a solid team, why would they waste their time going here? They're not going to come to New York just to come to New York anymore. That does not work. It hasn't worked for years. And they can't build for the draft like they used to, because as soon as you get a good player like in Minnesota, when that contract comes up, they're gone, man. You've got to get a solid, strong team that can get you at least 500 every year, then you can go talk to Kawhi Leonard. Then you might be able to talk to somebody else and bring them over, somebody of that caliber. But if your team is near the bottom every year, and to begin with, the organization sucks. So if you don't even have a good team on the floor with a good coach, you're not going to get any superstars here at all. I don't care what you get.
I just kind of feel like the only solution to this problem is that you're going to have to put a young nucleus together who can start to gel, kind of like, maybe have like a close to a 500 season, and then you'll attract those big names.
Exactly.
And the big name will say, you know what? I come in with this group of young people who showed they can win, maybe not the title, but they're close to the playoffs. I can take them to that next level.
Right. And the coach, Jim, is going to be very important, too. I don't know what we're talking about Jason Kidd. He would probably be a good coach for a young team. But you might have to go old school. You might need a guy that is a motivator, maybe a little bit of disciplinarian, maybe that to get them young kids to play together. He's got to be able to get along with the kids. But you need somebody that keeps that team tight, that is them against the world. Like you were saying, like I'm saying, a good maybe 500 team. Then maybe, just maybe, you get a Kawhi Leonard or you get somebody of that caliber that says, like you said, hey, maybe I'm a piece that gets us to the finals, or close enough to the finals.
Because say what you want to say, but there's nothing like the Garden when a winning team is there, and it can't be matched by any other arena in basketball when they're winning. The Garden is electric when they're winning.
The Garden sold out all the time. All the time.
Yeah, and I don't know who's going to get the job. Rob brings up Mark Jackson, and I know anyone who knows me, I've brought up Mark Jackson 100 times, but Mark Jackson's not getting the job. He's not even getting an interview. I want him to have the job, but he's not getting an interview. They've interviewed everybody under the sun. None of them are named Mark Jackson.
What is it? That can't be just a rub from him playing here, is it? It can't be.
There's something going on there. I don't know what it is. Dolan's not exactly best friends with all the ex-Knicks players, so
it's got to be something. Yeah, well, he threw Coakley out of the stadium. Did they ever throw Mark Jackson out of the stadium?
No, he threw Spike.
Yeah,
So it's Mark Jackson for some reason. Nobody knows. There's nobody really even knows why Mark Jackson was ever let go from Golden State. He put that team together that Steve Kerr took off and went on that run, and he had Golden State had a good year in his last year, and he didn't have the type of season that would normally get you replaced. I mean, there's been like you've heard whispers about that he's got all this weird religious stuff that he does, and I don't know. Nobody really knows.
Yeah, what would that matter as long as he's putting together a winning team? I don't care what he does.
Taking the players, dressed in Congo outfits, like, the skirts and stuff, and dance around before the game singing, I don't understand what his religion would matter. If he stands on a Buddhist thing and prays, who cares?
What is it? I mean, what is that? I mean,
who cares?
That should have nothing to do. Any of that should have anything to do whether he coaches or not. There's got to be a rub. He's got to rub somebody the wrong way. It's got to be, because he is a good coach.
It seems like it's almost with the whole league, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
An interview anywhere.
Once one owner says something or one GM says something about you, there is problems, man. You know that as well as I do.
Hiram says Jackson was let go due to his religious beliefs and speaking out about homosexuality in a negative light. Maybe that's true. I know I've heard the whispers. I never heard the thing about the homosexuality thing, but I did hear whispers about his religious beliefs. Now, I don't know, a lot of people who play sports have religious beliefs. So maybe the homosexuality thing is true. I can't confirm that.
That's it.
That would take it to another level.
You're talking lawsuits. I mean, you're talking protests and lawsuits if that's true. I mean, I could see.
It can't just be his religious beliefs, because if, for example, there are certain religious beliefs that which I'm sure there are plenty of people in multiple sport leagues who have this belief, but there are plenty of religious beliefs that they don't believe in gay marriage. So,
right.
I'm sure you can't tell me he's the only person that believes in that religion in the whole league. Maybe he just spoke out about it,
too much,
so maybe he just came out about it, and that's no good.
Maybe there was a gay player on the team. Who knows? I mean, that kid,
I don't know. I just know that the Knicks don't have the young players in place yet, and you can leave R.J. Barrett there. That's fine.
Yeah, but he's not going to take over a game, is what I'm saying, Jim. He's a good wingman.
Not all year long.
Yeah, he's a good wingman. he's like I don't even compare him to Kevin McHale because you're talking Hall of Famer, but he's that wing guy that can get you 25 points some game, 10 rebounds.
Guy to start to build with.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to have
with
right. You got to have players that 4 or 5 players that are scoring close to 20 points a game and grabbing 5 rebounds and 5 assists, working as a team.
Tyrone says at the time, I guess his boss was gay.
There you go. That would do it.
Yeah. I don't know why I would stop him getting interviews all these years later. I mean, people usually forget. I mean, it's been a while. He hasn't been in Golden State in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, Jim, behind closed doors, there's a lot of things said that we're not privy to, man. And a lot of people get blackballed for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. So we're almost done here. I mean, we're getting ready for Down to the Wires coming up with, with Errol and Speedy Pete.
Errol and Skippy?
Speedy Pete.
Why do you call him Skippy? I don't know
why you call him Skippy. But if you keep doing it, he's not going to give you any of those little minute things he does.
Apologize to him for me. I don't have the contacts you got, big guy. I'm a little guy over here in the sports corner. I mind my own business.
You got your ear to the boxing world and everybody's parents under the sun.
Yes, I
do. PTA with all of them.
Hey, listen, I mean, let me give you one quick minute, right?
You got a minute. All right.
I'm going to give you a quick minute, all right? So you go to these media companies, and of course, you try to get through, and we're not ESPN yet. We'll beat them. Eventually, we'll be better than them, but we're not there yet. So then I go try to backdoor some stuff. So I try to work my way into different groups, into different things, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it don't. But I'm telling you right now, it's not. I'm not gonna say it's not easy, but you got to build relationships, Jim. You don't have marriage. Our kid, you got to kind of you hold it, you nurture it a little bit, you bring it along, and then it gets there, and we'll get there.
So you start off with like Johnny's fourth cousin Goober.
There you go.
And then like 5 interviews later, we got the mother, and then we got the athlete.
Exactly. Johnny uses the fishing line with his toe. So, when a fish bites, he knows, So it's kind of
6 visits later. We got
yeah, then we got the race car driver, or whoever it is. So
I want to talk to Stidham. Can we get Stidham?
I will try, but after I said what I said, I don't know.
I won't. Well, you'll sit out while he's here.
I want Belichick. The heck with Stidham. I want the man.
We don't have the pull for Belichick. We can get maybe Campbell's soup.
Maybe if I tell him one of I heard he's got some good jokes. Maybe if I tell him a good joke or something else.
You might be able to get Stidham. He don't know what you said about him. He's not watching. And I love him. So,
Okay, I'll try. I'll give him my best shot.
So we got a minute left here before Speedy Pete and Errol come up with Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Network. Tomorrow, we're going to break down the Mets. Well, half roster, because then see and who else they've signed by now, since they've signed Gordon Becker, Hunter Strickland, Melky Cabrera. They're just signing a whole bunch of people to the
Milkman. The Milkman, bring him in.
I got no problem with him. I'm just saying, there's other guys out there. But anyway, so we're going to talk about the Mets. They'll get the first hour like the Yankees did today, and then we'll see what other stuff is going on in sports as we get closer and closer and closer to what is today's date? Today is the 29th. So we're getting close to the Wednesday. Wednesday, I believe Wednesday the players go and they get tested, and then Friday they can start working out
unless you're Tom Brady.
If they pass the test. Well, I'm talking about baseball players.
I know, but I'm just saying, just in general. If you're Tom Brady, you can practice anytime you want.
All right, so we're out of here. Next show's coming up. You guys have been great as always. Thank you for all the comments, and we will see y'all tomorrow 4 to 6.
Have a great day, guys.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.